Urgent. A third party just did something shocking. Your soulmate needs you now. What happened changes everything. My beloved child, something has shifted behind the scenes, and what happened was never supposed to reach you this quickly. A third party just made a move so unexpected that it changed the entire direction of this connection, and your soulmate's reaction is the part no one saw coming. They thought they could remain quiet. They thought they could keep their feelings hidden and continue pretending that everything was under control. But one surprising moment changed that. Something was revealed, something was said, and suddenly your soulmate understood that staying silent could cost them the person they never truly stopped thinking about, you. Don't skip, because the most important part is not what the third party did, it is what your soulmate realized immediately afterward. For the first time, they began looking at the past differently. Conversations they once ignored suddenly made sense. Certain choices began connecting like pieces of a puzzle. And one question kept repeating inside their mind: what if I misunderstood the person who actually cared about me? That question has opened a door they can no longer close. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and it changes what this entire story has really been about. Here is where everything becomes even more surprising. Your soulmate is beginning to recognize that some of the distance between you was built from assumptions rather than truth. The third party expected their latest move to push your soulmate further away from you, but it appears to have created the opposite reaction. Instead of forgetting you, your soulmate started remembering details, your words, your patience, the moments when you understood them without needing a long explanation. And then came the realization that shook their perspective: they had been comparing everything around them to the connection they once felt with you. That is why something inside them has changed now. They are no longer asking whether they should keep avoiding their feelings. They are asking what happens if they finally acknowledge them. Don't skip. There is another layer to this, because your soulmate has discovered something about the third party's actions that they were never expecting to discover. One small inconsistency exposed a much bigger truth, and once your soulmate noticed it, they started questioning everything. Something huge is waiting for you, because this was the exact moment when your soulmate stopped looking away and started searching for answers, and those answers are leading directly back to you. Your soulmate may have believed that time and distance would eventually make this connection disappear, but this latest situation has shown them something completely different. The more they tried to move forward without understanding what happened between you, the more unanswered questions followed them. Now the third party's shocking move has brought those questions to the surface all at once. Your soulmate is realizing that there may have been more happening behind the scenes than they understood, and that realization has awakened an emotion they thought they had successfully buried: the need to know the truth about you. Stay till the end, because what comes next is the revelation that changes everything. Your soulmate is not simply remembering you anymore. They are reconsidering a decision they once believed was final. And the reason they suddenly feel they need you now is connected to something the third party accidentally revealed, something that made your soulmate realize that one of the biggest assumptions they carried about you may never have been true at all. Don't skip, because once that hidden truth comes fully into view, your soulmate will have to make a choice they never expected to face again. Something your soulmate noticed has completely changed the way they see the third party now. It was not a dramatic announcement or a planned confession, it was one tiny detail that simply did not match what they had been told before. At first, your soulmate tried to ignore it. But the more they thought about it, the more another memory returned, then another, and suddenly several moments from the past began connecting. Don't skip, because this is where the story takes a surprising turn. Your soulmate started wondering whether some of the things they believed about you had been based on incomplete information. They remembered moments when you seemed distant, but now they are questioning why. They remembered conversations that ended without answers, but now those missing answers suddenly matter. And then one thought stopped them completely. What if the person I walked away from was never the person I was told they were? Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The third party believed their latest move would finally close the door between you and your soulmate, but instead, it appears to have pushed your soulmate toward the very truth they were trying not to face, and this is where your soulmate's emotions begin changing faster than anyone expected. They are no longer thinking only about what happened, they are thinking about what could have happened differently. They are replaying your connection from another perspective, remembering the moments when you showed up without asking for anything in return, the moments when your presence felt strangely familiar, and the moments they almost reached out but stopped themselves. Don't skip, because the next realization is even bigger. Your soulmate suddenly understands that whenever something important happened in their life, their thoughts somehow return to you. Not because someone reminded them. Not because they were trying to live in the past. But because there was something unfinished between you that never received a real answer. Now, after what the third party just did, that unfinished feeling has become impossible for them to dismiss. For perhaps the first time, your soulmate is wondering whether losing communication with you was actually a mistake. And once that question entered their mind, another followed immediately. Would you even listen if I finally told you everything? But there is still one hidden piece your soulmate has not fully uncovered, and this is the piece that could change the entire meaning of what happened between you. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate has started looking deeper into the timeline of events, and one particular moment refuses to make sense. Something they were told happened one way appears to have happened very differently. The third party may not have expected your soulmate to remember one specific detail, but they did, and that detail has opened a completely new question about why you and your soulmate were pulled apart in the first place. Stay till the end, because your soulmate is getting closer to understanding what was missing from the story. They are beginning to realize that before they make another decision about you, they need something they should have searched for long ago, your side of the story. Don't skip. Because the moment your soulmate discovers what really happened during that forgotten turning point, they may finally understand why their heart kept bringing them back to you, even when everything around them was telling them to move on. Now the one detail your soulmate could not explain has become the center of everything. The more they examine what happened, the clearer it becomes that there was a missing piece between what you actually did and what they were led to believe. And this is where their entire perspective begins to shift. Don't skip, because your soulmate has remembered a conversation from the past that seemed ordinary at the time, but suddenly those words carry a completely different meaning. There was a moment when they almost asked you directly what was happening. They almost gave you the opportunity to explain. But before that conversation could happen, another version of the story reached them first. They accepted it because it seemed believable then. Now they are questioning why they never heard the answer directly from you. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate has begun comparing what they personally experienced with what they were told, and the two stories are no longer fitting together. That difference is creating one enormous question inside them: did I make one of my biggest decisions without knowing the whole truth? And once that question appeared, they could no longer look at your connection the same way. What makes this even more surprising is what happened next. Instead of immediately confronting anyone, your soulmate became unusually quiet and started remembering everything. Your expressions. Your words. The moments when you seemed like you wanted to say more but held yourself back. They are realizing that some of your reactions may have been responses to circumstances they never understood. Something huge is waiting for you, because one particular memory has become impossible for them to ignore. Your soulmate remembers a moment when you tried to make something clear, but the timing was wrong and the conversation never reached its real conclusion. Back then, they assumed your silence meant you had stopped caring. Now they are beginning to wonder whether your silence meant something entirely different. Don't skip, because this realization is pushing them towards something they avoided for a long time: hearing your side without anyone else standing between you. And the thought of finally speaking directly to you has awakened feelings they believed had disappeared. Not because the past can simply be rewritten, but because they finally understand that the truth deserves to be heard before another choice is made. And then came the revelation that changed the atmosphere completely. Your soulmate noticed that the third party seemed to know something they should not have known unless certain conversations had happened without your soulmate being aware of them. That single realization raised more questions than answers. Suddenly, your soulmate began wondering how much information had been passing around while you remained unaware. Stay till the end, because this is where everything begins moving toward the once-in-a-lifetime turning point. Your soulmate is no longer satisfied with assumptions. They want clarity. They want to understand why certain things happened exactly when your connection was becoming stronger. Most importantly, they are starting to realize that the answer may completely change what they thought they knew about you. Don't skip. Because there is one final detail connected to that hidden conversation, and when your soulmate discovers who originally brought your name into it, and what was actually said, their next decision about you could become completely different from anything the third party expected. What your soulmate discovered next was the detail nobody expected them to connect. One old conversation suddenly matched something the third party had recently said, but there was one major difference: the timing did not make sense. Your soulmate remembered exactly where they were, exactly what they were feeling, and most importantly, what they personally knew about you at that moment. Don't skip, because this tiny contradiction has opened the biggest question yet. If the original story was completely accurate, how could the third party have known something before your soulmate had even spoken about it? That question changed everything. Your soulmate stopped accepting the situation at face value and began rebuilding the timeline inside their mind. Moment by moment, conversation by conversation, they started seeing the connection differently. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The surprising realization is not simply that information may have been misunderstood. It is that your soulmate now believes they should have spoken directly to you before making assumptions. And suddenly, all those memories of you that they had pushed aside are returning with a completely different meaning. Then something even more powerful happened. Your soulmate stopped asking what everyone else thought and started asking what they actually remembered feeling around you. That changed everything. They remembered how naturally conversations once flowed, how certain moments with you stayed in their mind long after they ended, and how difficult it was to completely disconnect emotionally even when circumstances changed. Something huge is waiting for you, because now they understand why those memories never disappeared. There was never a true conclusion. There were assumptions, distance, and unanswered questions, but not the conversation that could have settled everything. Don't skip. Your soulmate is realizing that they cannot keep allowing an unfinished story to make decisions for them. And now they are considering something they once believed they would never do, reaching toward the truth instead of running from it. They do not know what your response would be. They do not know whether everything can be understood immediately. But for the first time, uncertainty is no longer stopping them. Their need for clarity has become stronger than their fear of what they might discover, and this is where the third party's shocking move begins producing the exact opposite result from what was expected. Instead of creating permanent distance, it has forced your soulmate to look directly at the connection they had been avoiding. Stay till the end, because the biggest revelation is getting closer. Your soulmate has now identified one particular moment when the entire direction between you changed, and they are beginning to believe that this moment was never fully understood. They remember what they were told afterward, but now they want to know what happened before that story reached them. Don't skip, because that missing piece could explain why everything changed so suddenly. Your soulmate is getting closer to one unavoidable conclusion. Before they decide what comes next, they need to know what you knew, what you experienced, and what you were never given the chance to explain. And when that final missing detail surfaces, the third party may realize that their latest move did not end this connection at all. It may have become the very reason your soulmate finally decided to search for the truth. The truth your soulmate has been searching for is finally beginning to take shape, and what they are realizing is far bigger than the original question. They thought they were investigating one confusing moment, but now they understand that the real issue stretches much further back. There were choices made during emotional moments, conversations that never reached completion, and assumptions that quietly became accepted as facts. Don't skip, because your soulmate has just recognized something extraordinary. The moment they believed you had emotionally stepped away may have been the exact moment you were waiting for them to understand you. That possibility has completely changed their perspective. Suddenly, they are remembering your patience differently. They are remembering your silence differently. Even the moments when you seemed distant now look different when placed beside everything they have recently discovered. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that the connection did not disappear when communication changed. It simply became buried beneath questions neither of you properly answered. And now, because of what the third party recently did, those questions are returning all at once. But there is another revelation your soulmate was not prepared for. While replaying the past, they realized there was one moment when they almost chose differently. They almost ignored outside opinions. They almost reached directly toward you. Something stopped them, and for a long time they convinced themselves that stopping was the correct decision. Now they are questioning that belief. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate has finally admitted something to themselves they avoided admitting for a long time. Even after everything changed, a part of them kept wondering what would have happened if they had simply spoken to you honestly. Don't skip. That unanswered possibility never completely left them. Whenever they imagined a different path, somehow your presence appeared inside it. Whenever they wondered what genuine understanding would feel like, memories of you returned. And now the third party's unexpected action has brought that hidden feeling directly to the surface. Your soulmate does not want another assumption. They do not want another second-hand explanation. They want something real, something clear, something they should have asked for from the beginning, the truth directly from you, and this is the turning point nobody around your soulmate expected. They are beginning to consider whether the next chapter should be determined by what happened before, or by what they choose after finally understanding it. Stay till the end, because the biggest shift has already begun inside them. They are no longer asking, "Why should I revisit this connection?" Now they are asking, "Why did I never give this connection the conversation it deserved?" That question changes everything. Don't skip, because there is still one final piece your soulmate needs to uncover, and it connects directly to the third party's shocking move. One detail appears to reveal why certain information reached your soulmate at exactly the moment it did, and why your name kept appearing whenever your soulmate was closest to making an independent decision. If your soulmate confirms what they are beginning to suspect, they will have to reconsider the entire story from the beginning. And this time, they may not allow anyone else to decide what your connection means. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate's next realization is not about the third party anymore. It is about what they themselves are finally ready to do about you. Everything has reached the moment your soulmate can no longer avoid, because the final missing detail is beginning to make sense. The third party's shocking move was supposed to settle everything, but instead it exposed the one inconsistency your soulmate needed to notice. Don't skip, because this is where the entire story turns. Your soulmate has realized that every time they came close to understanding you directly, something seemed to interrupt that clarity, another opinion, another assumption, another reason to wait. But now they are seeing the pattern from a completely different perspective. And the most surprising realization is deeply personal. They allowed uncertainty to speak louder than the connection they actually experienced with you. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is no longer focused on proving who was right or wrong. They want to understand what was real. And when they ask themselves which moments felt most genuine, their thoughts keep returning to you. That is why they need you now, not because you must fix anything for them, but because your voice is the one part of this story they never truly heard without outside influence. Then came the once-in-a-lifetime realization they never expected to face. What if the biggest thing standing between you was not a lack of feeling, but a lack of truth at the right moment? Something huge is waiting for you, because that question has changed the way your soulmate thinks about everything that happened. They are remembering the exact point when they chose distance, and now they understand how differently that decision might have looked if they had known what they know today. Don't skip. They are no longer trying to erase their feelings or convince themselves that unanswered questions do not matter. Instead, they are imagining the conversation they should have had with you long ago. What would you tell them? What did they misunderstand? What did you want them to know before everything changed? Those questions are becoming impossible to silence. And something else has shifted too. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that waiting forever will never give them those answers. At some point, someone has to choose clarity. For the first time, they are seriously considering becoming that person, and now the biggest surprise is not what the third party did, it is what your soulmate may do because of it. Stay till the end, because this connection has reached a completely different crossroads. Your soulmate is considering stepping beyond every assumption and finally approaching the situation with their own eyes, their own heart, and their own questions. They understand that the truth may not look exactly the way they imagined, but they would rather know than continue wondering. Don't skip, because this is the shift that changes everything. Your soulmate has stopped seeing you as a chapter that simply ended. They are beginning to see you as an unanswered conversation that still deserves honesty. Something huge is waiting for you. The third party believed one shocking move would create the final distance, yet it may have awakened the exact opposite, a determination inside your soulmate to stop letting other voices define what happened between you. And now one question remains stronger than all the others. If they finally come forward and tell you everything they have discovered, will this be the moment both of you finally understand why the connection was never as finished as everyone assumed? A completely different energy now surrounds your soulmate's decision, because they have reached the point where wondering is no longer enough. For so long, they allowed unanswered questions to remain unanswered because reopening the past seemed more complicated than leaving it alone. But the third party's unexpected move changed that. Don't skip, because your soulmate has realized something they cannot unsee. Avoiding the truth never actually gave them peace. It only gave them more questions. Now they are looking back at the exact moments when they could have spoken directly to you, and one realization keeps becoming stronger: there were things they assumed about your intentions that they never personally confirmed. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is beginning to separate what they genuinely knew from what they merely believed, and that difference is enormous. Memories they once considered proof that you had moved on suddenly look incomplete. Moments they thought meant you no longer cared now seem open to another explanation. And for the first time, your soulmate is asking themselves whether the story they accepted was ever the full story at all. Then came the realization that changed their next move completely. Your soulmate understood that if they continue waiting, they may spend years wondering what one honest conversation could have revealed. Something huge is waiting for you, because this is no longer simply about remembering you. It is about finally understanding you. They are thinking about what they would say if there were no outside voices, no assumptions, and no pressure, just you and them speaking honestly about what happened. Don't skip. In their mind, that conversation keeps beginning with the same question: what did I never understand about you? And behind that question is something even deeper. Your soulmate has realized that they may have judged your silence without knowing what caused it. They may have interpreted your distance without understanding what you were experiencing. Most importantly, they may have allowed one chapter to close before either of you had actually said what needed to be said. Now the third party's shocking action has unintentionally brought all of this back into focus, and your soulmate knows they cannot simply pretend they never noticed. But here is the revelation that changes everything. Your soulmate's biggest decision is no longer about the third party. It is about whether they are finally willing to trust their own understanding of you. Stay till the end, because they are closer than ever to choosing clarity over assumptions. The past cannot be rewritten, but the unanswered questions do not have to remain unanswered forever. Don't skip, because your soulmate is realizing that whatever happens next must come from honesty, not from somebody else's version of your connection. And that is why they need you now. They need the one perspective that has been missing from this story from the beginning, yours. Something huge is waiting for you. What started as one shocking move from a